Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupine Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahmavidvaram Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Sorry about that. Okay. So, Tato Jayam Udirayet. We are starting our Mahabharata. Well, why I'm saying we're starting is today is a very, very important day for us, and you will see why. But before we go there, let us see what we did last week so that we're all on the same page, because Mahabharata is a very funny story in the sense there's so many characters involved. So let us just review a little bit, and then we move forward, okay? All right. So where are we at? So last time we saw here that Draupadi was captured by Jayadrata. Okay, so keep this name in mind, this name will come. And he's humiliated by Bhima. Bhima cuts his hair in all kinds of shapes and forms. And Jayadrata, he does tapasya to avenge this. And his tapasya, his key boon is that he can defy the Pandavas at one time only when Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna aren't there. So this is what happens with Jayadrata. He does intense austerity or tapasya. Then we saw also about Karna. So Draupadi Harana happened, Karna Harana happened, where Surya Devata came in his dream and said, Indra Devata will take or will ask for your kavacha, your armor and your kundala. Don't give it. But you know, Karna has made this promise that every day after he worships, whoever asks him something, he will give. And that's just the way he is. That is one thing that he has stuck to. That is the vow that he has stuck to. Therefore, he will give. And I told you before in Mahabharata, people are very fond of their words, meaning their words had weight. So Karna's word had weight. He said, I will stick to what I said. And Indra Devata came, took his kavacha and kundala, but gave him his Shakti. And this Shakti of Indra, it's like a weapon. He can only use it on one person, one time, and after that, it returns back to Indra. So of course, Karna is thinking, I'm going to use it on Arjuna because it's a sure shot. Whoever this Shakti goes to, that person will be destroyed. So Karna is remembered in a way for his charity and in a way for sticking to his vow. But, this is one of the good things about Karna, but we must also see all the crazy things about Karna that's happening in Mahabharata. So he is known as a great giver for this particular episode, and this is something that makes him shine. But he also instigates a lot of times Duryodhana to go against the Pandavas. We saw also Yaksha Prashna episode. Very beautiful episode wherein Yaksha tests Yudhisthira and asks him questions. All of the Pandavas, the 4 Pandavas went to the lake and they were so thirsty. The Yaksha said, "You cannot drink until you answer my questions." But they didn't listen. But with Yudhishthira, first he said, "Yes, I will answer your questions. Then only I will drink that water." And this dialogue is Yaksha Prashna, which we will take in a camp or in a side session because it's very deep and very fun to look into what Yudhishthira's answers were. So this Yaksha is none other than Dharmaraja. And Dharmaraja is the father of Yudhishthira. And this father of Yudhishthira blesses him and all of the Pandavas that in their year of hiding, they will be successful. And so this concludes Vana Parva. After that, we entered into Virata Parva, where Yudhishthira went in disguise as Kanka, the close friend or advisor of this king. And Bhima went as Balava, the cook or the wrestler. Arjuna went as Brihannala, the dancer. Nakula as Grantika, the caretaker of horses. Sahadeva as Tantipala, the caretaker of cows. And Draupadi as Sairandri. So this we saw in Virata Parva. And in Virata Parva, we also saw that there was this Kichaka, Kichaka, who was that Virata's brother-in-law who liked Draupadi, but Draupadi didn't like him and he wanted to be with her. So she pushed him down on the ground and, and she ran away from him. But this Kichaka, was so persevering, like he really wanted to be with her. So hence Bhima defeated him in the middle of the night in the dance hall. He defeated this Kichaka with Draupadi there. And this Kichaka is one of the strongest ones. It is said that there are only 4 people who are stronger than or as strong as Indra. They are Bhima, Balarama, Kichaka, and Shalya. So these 4 are really, really powerful. So anyway, this Kichaka was defeated. And now, slowly, where we had left off was, we have to see if Duryodhana actually finds where the Pandavas are, right? Now, first let us look at the deeper meaning of this Virata Parva, okay? So, in Mahabharata, so many things have deeper meanings. First of all, question comes, why 12 years? Why 12 years so long? 12 years for Mahabharata plus 113, 14 years for Ramchandraji. It is said that for any sadhana to be really deep or to go really deep, it has to be done for 12 years. It has to be done for that length of time. Now, don't go thinking, oh my God, we have no hope. No, what that's telling us is as the years go by, our practices become deeper. And not only that, we enjoy them more. We want to do them. It doesn't anymore become like, oh my goodness, I have to do this. It becomes, I want to do this and I enjoy it so thoroughly. And deeper that sadhana goes. And when we do something for this period of time, it results in completion. It's like when you chant Gayatri, Purascharana, when you chant Gayatri X number of times, it is said then you will benefit from the result. Or if you take Om Namah Shivaya, so each syllable you have to chant 1,00,000 times, then you get the benefit of the mantra truly. So it's just going to show us that when we go really deep into our tapasya, it really bears fruit, and it does take time. So sometimes, we keep changing our mantras, keep changing our prayers, keep changing our sadhana and saying, this doesn't work. Oh, move on to another God. This doesn't work. Move on to another God. Or one Swami was talking about this God so nicely. Maybe I should start chanting about this God's name. I don't know. Nothing is happening. Well, it will be like that because it takes time. Everything takes time. But please be assured that there is one God. So whose ever name you're chanting, you just keep chanting that name. And that name, let it go really, really deep till you have darshan of that very Bhagavan. How do you know that name has gone deep? You will get darshan. You see, Arjuna, that name of Shiva, how deep it has gone, he got darshan of Bhagavan Shiva. Bhima, he got darshan of Hanumanji. Yudhishthira's tapasya was dharma. He always wanted to stay in dharma. Yes, he fell, but he wanted to stay, whatever was left, whatever those 13 years were that he had to do, he wanted to stay in dharma. And he got the darshan of Dharmaraja. Bhima's tapasya was strength. He got the darshan of Hanumanji. So you can see, when is my tapasya very, very deep? When I get that darshan of that Bhagavan. Sakshat darshan of that Bhagavan. Does it happen? Of course it happens. But one has to go really, really deep into it. So first is, for those 12 years, that's what happens. It's a really, really deep time of sadhana. The 13th year now is that peak of sadhana. What is the peak of sadhana? The peak of sadhana is the reduction of the ego. It is that sublimation of that ego. And that's why it's called Virata Parva. Virat in our Shastra means this Virat Purusha, means this cosmic being. So when we studied chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita, those of you who remember, how we study that cosmic being, that thousands of heads and thousands of eyes and thousands of hands are in this cosmic being. So when we come to a higher level of sadhana, we lose ourselves in the cosmic being. And that is signified by their 13th year of hiding. That ego was getting sublimated in that cosmic being, Virat. Because that's how to show we're evolving. The more expansive we become, the more we evolve. And if you see, each of these characters were becoming expansive in their very own disguises. It's such a beautiful thing. Yudhisthira, what he was working on was his game of dice. Life is a game, as they say. With Yudhisthira, in his earlier dice game, he was exchanging spiritual values for material values. He lost all of his spiritual values, whatever spiritual value of self-control, of awareness. He lost it. He exchanged the spiritual values in change of material values, and he couldn't control himself. So now Yudhishthira was getting into that scene where he becomes more expansive and alert to all those who are affected by his decision. When we become expansive, we become so alert that our every motion affects so many people in this world. And so when we become expansive, what happens is we get rid of the material values and we take in the spiritual values. So now Yudhishthira's game of dice was changed. He was giving away these material values of wealth, of fame, etc. He was taking spiritual values of being aware of how his actions affect everyone. This was his sense of expansiveness, that he learned to play this game in a very, very different way. What was Bhima's sense of expansiveness? You know, Bhima, he loved to cook. He loved to eat, actually, mostly. He loved to eat. That's why he was so big. And he loved to eat. But that was all eating for himself. In the Mahabharata, also, bigger portions were allotted to Bhima. And everybody was okay with it because he needed more food. But now he was the one cooking and giving food. So his expansiveness is not just I eat, but let me also cook and give to others. Whatever I enjoy, let me share it. And so Bhima comes out as the divine cook. Bhagavad Gita, it says the one who cooks and eats for themselves, that is Papa. So Bhima expands. And on top of that, Bhima defeats Kichaka. Kicha means mud. So he gets rid of all of these baser tendencies. Then we come to Arjuna. Arjuna came in disguise as Prahalala, as this dancer in this, Virata's palace. And this Arjuna had pride and had ego because he was Sabyasachi. He was ambidextrous. He could shoot arrows with two hands. He could hit the target. He could fight with so many people. This time he had to hide his pride and ego. He had to cover his scars. He had to put his head down. He had to pretend that he didn't know anything. He had to pretend to be a fool. Now, for somebody who's a hero, who's a mighty, mighty hero, to pretend to be a fool, that's very painful. It's very painful. But Arjuna had to do that to overcome his own ego. And further, also, his expansiveness is in tapasya. One of the most difficult things to conquer is kama or lust for another being. Now, by him being a eunuch, he was with women. He developed that love to see women and men alike. And that was his expansiveness. Not have any impure thought about an opposite gender or the same gender or whatever, not to have an impure thought of lust. He had to conquer that and become expansive in that way. Now you see Nakula and Sahadeva. Nakula was taking care of the horses. Sahadeva was taking care of the cows. In our Shastra, horses symbolize sense organs. This is found in the Kathopanishad. The horses are the sense organs. Go, which is the name for cow, also means sense organs or senses. So they were trying to master their sense organs. Because, for one to become expansive, one of the most important qualities is to have discipline. If we don't have discipline, it's very difficult to become expansive. Very, very hard. Because we go always doing whatever we like. We're going into whatever we feel like doing, we do. Whatever we feel like being, we be. We just go with our feelings. And when we go with our feelings and emotions and do whatever we feel like, we can never think well of other people. When we keep our discipline and just do what we need, we have so much more to give. So much more to give. And so this is how they had to become more expansive. So you see, this Virat Parva is not just, they're taking a disguise and they're going to some palace. It's a very deep meaning that they're becoming more expansive to all those around. And that is when you're coming to a really high level of sadhana. So this is the reason or the symbolism of their disguises. Now, what happens next? Okay, what happens next is in Hastinapur, Duryodhana is there. And this Duryodhana, of course, wants to find out where these Pandavas are hiding. Because before the 13 years get over, Duryodhana is thinking, let me find the Pandavas. Let me find the Pandavas. So again, they go to exile for another 12 years. And so he brings this in the court. They want to do all kinds of things, send all spies. And he did send spies to all directions to find out the Pandavas. Now, Bhishma says something so beautiful. This Bhishma said, listen, if you want to find out where Yudhisthira is, let me tell you something. And there are these beautiful verses in Mahabharata. We'll just read a few. And, so Bhishma says this. Dana Shila Vadanyascha Nibritori Nivshevakaha Jano Janapate Bhavyaha Yatra Raja Yudhisthiraha. He says, wherever this king Yudhisthira lives, they will never meet calamity. The people of that place, they will never ever meet calamity. People will be charitable. Dana Shilaha. Vadanya. Vadanya means they will be very bountiful. Nibritta and Ri. They will be humble. They will be modest wherever Yudhishthira is. He says, Priyavadi Sadadantaha Bhavya Satya Parojanaha Rishta Pushta Shuchir Daksho Yatra Raja Yudhishthiraha. Wherever Yudhishthira lives, people will have Priyavada, sweet speech. Sadadanta, they will be self-controlled. And Satyaparaha, they will be observant of truth. Grishtaha, they will be cheerful. Pushtaha, they will be healthy. They will be shuchi, they will be pure. And daksha, they will be expert. Nasuya ko na cha shirshu, nabhimani na matsari, bhavishyati janastatra, swayam dharma manuvrataha. Where Yudhishthira stays, there will be no jealousy. Asuya means jealousy. There will be no, there will not be any maliciousness. There will not be any abhiman, pride, etc. No jealousy, and they will perform their duties. This is what Bhishma says. Now, this is very, very significant because yes, Yudhishthira he made a mistake, but he has performed lots of austerities for these 12 years. And plus that year in incognito. And what these verses say, if you want to find Yudhishthira, you find where the land is prosperous. Now, I know you have some questions in your head. Please be patient. It's coming. I'll tell you why all of these things are coming. So just wait. See the beauty first in Bhishma's answer and enjoy with me. So Bhishma is saying, it's further, so many verses, where the rains will always come in time, where the people are happy, where people are healthy, where things are growing. This is where Yudhishthira lives. If you want to find out. Many times, you and I, when there's somebody doing tapasya, silent Mahatma sitting down, we're wondering, what is this Mahatma doing? Why don't they just go out in the world and work? Why don't they? So many people are starving. So many people are doing this. So many people are doing that. What are they doing uselessly sitting down in their house and doing tapasya? Or what are they doing just sitting somewhere and being quiet? Please know that area where a Mahatma lives, that whole area prospers. It thrives because of their spiritual vibration. Their tapasya is so deep that the people around them change. This is the tapasya of a Mahatma. We can go out and change the world, but when a Mahatma sits down, people by themselves change. That is something very deep. So, this is what he meant to say. If you want to find Yudhishthira, find this kind of kingdom, find this kind of prosperous place. That's why in our Upanishads it said, in anyone's house, if there is one such knower of Brahman, everyone will come to truth. They will. In their own time, they will come to truth. Because that tapasya is very strong. So now Duryodhana is sitting down, and his spies are reporting to him. Where is this, where is this Yudhisthira? Where is he? The spy said, we didn't find anything. We didn't find anything, but we heard that this Kichaka was defeated. We heard that this Kichaka was defeated in the night, in the middle of the night, because of a lady. He was after a lady and he was defeated. And even the step-brothers, this Upakichakas, they were defeated. That's all we heard, but we couldn't find the Pandavas. Duryodhana is sitting. And he says, wait a second. He says, there are only very few people who can defeat this Kichaka. It's Bhima, it's Shalya, it's Balarama. Tell me the story again. And so they said this Kichaka was after this lady who had 5 Gandharvas for her husband. But Kichaka wouldn't listen, and therefore he was defeated. And Duryodhana said, when was he defeated? In the middle of the night. Duryodhana said, that's Bhima. That has to be Bhima. Because it happened in the middle of the night. If 5 Gandharvas as the husband, that must be Draupadi. And Draupadi is too beautiful not to look at. And Kichaka must have liked her, and she must have told Bhima. And if you see now, where is this place that Bhishma was describing? That is Virat. The kingdom of Virat has been so prosperous. So many things are booming there. All the descriptions of Bhishma, everything that he told us, it's in Virat. Let's go to Virat. So now Duryodhana knows. And now they all make a plan. Now, this Duryodhana, Karna, this Shakuni, Dushasan, this Dushta Chatushtaya, always scheming. With people like that, you can never rest. You don't know what they're going to do again. They plan this attack, that they're going to steal the cows of Virat. Now just see, there is this Susharma. This Susharma doesn't like this kingdom of Virat. He doesn't like them because they fought before and they got into some argument. So Susharma said, I'm going to help you. So Susharma said, they planned, Susharma will attack the south side of the kingdom. Okay, the south side of the kingdom, he will attack. And then he will lure all of the people of Virat out to fight with them. Then what will happen when all of the people in the kingdom go out to fight with Susharma? This Duryodhana, Ashwatthama, all of these people, Bhishma, Drona, they will go to the north side and attack Virat. When they least expect it, they'll attack Virat. And this is what they planned. They said, let's do this. Let's hatch this plan and we will get them. We will find the Pandavas. So things happened. What happened? The cows were slowly, the people of Virat were going to the king and saying, our cows are getting stolen. There's this huge army that's coming. Our cows are getting stolen. Please help us, O king, please help us. So meanwhile, Yudhisthira was in disguise as Kanka. Kanka said, we can help you. I have fought before. That cook that you have, you call him. And the caretaker of the horses and cows, you call them, and we can help you, and we'll make things work. So this Virat, he was just this, king of Virat. He was just really, really nervous because so huge that army of Susharma, and they lost Kichaka. Kichaka otherwise could have defeated them. So anyway, this king said, okay, fine, let's go. So Yudhisthira, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva, they were all in disguise. Arjuna couldn't go because he was Brihannala, so he couldn't go. So the 4 of them in disguise, they went and they fought with this Susharma. And this Susharma was so strong, he captured that king of Virata. And Yudhisthira said, Bhima, you better take care. And so Yudhisthira led the whole army And Bhima went to get back that king of Virat, and he got also the Susharma, brought him to Yudhisthira, and Yudhisthira said, okay, now just let him go, let him be. And they brought back all of the cows and, to all of the villagers, to all of the people, and they were lured away in the kingdom. So they said, now it's very late at night, let us camp out here. And so the king was very, very happy with Yudhishthira. He said, Kanka, you are very great. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that you're here. So grateful. And, he was just full of gratitude. So all of them were there. And Yudhishthira said, please send word to the kingdom that everybody's safe and we will be coming tomorrow. Okay, fine. So they slept there. They slept in that tent in the battlefield. Slept. Meanwhile, the next day, again, from the other side, cows were stolen. And so the villagers were knocking in the palace. But in the palace, the whole army was gone. Whole army was gone. All the 4 Pandavas were gone. King of Virat was gone. Nobody was there. Only that prince, their prince, Uttara Kumara, was there. They said, Uttara Kumara, you have to help us. Our cows are being stolen. And there we have the Kaurava army. And who's in the Kaurava army? Duryodhana, Karna, Ashwatthama, Kripa, Bhima, Drona, Bhishma, Drona. All of 6 of them are leading the army, and the cows are being stolen, and we don't know what to do. So this Uttara Kumara, they said, please do something. Now he said, now what will I do? I have no charioteer. And he was, with he was there with the ladies and everything. He said, if you give me a charioteer, I can easily defeat them. I can easily do anything. People will say, who is this fighting in the battle? Is it Arjuna? He is boasting there. And meanwhile, he doesn't know Arjuna is there as Brihanala and Draupadi is there and he's boasting. So this Arjuna, he pulls Draupadi aside. He says, please tell this Uttara Kumara that Brihanala was a charioteer of Arjuna when he challenged Indra, and that she can wield the chariot. So Draupadi tells the princess to tell this prince, Brihanala can wield your chariot. So the princess, are you sure Brihanala can do it? And Brihanala says, yes, I can do it. I will do my best and we will see what happens. So the prince says, okay, fine. So we'll go. So the prince, Uttara Kumara, Brihanala, so Arjuna disguised as the girl, Brihanala. She's driving the chariot and this Uttara Kumara is there. And they're driving the chariot, Arjuna's driving the chariot. And he says to Uttara Kumara, he says, oh prince, see what's happening here. These are the people who you have to defeat today. You have to defeat this Bhishma, that is Bhishma, that is Drona, that is Duryodhana. You see that person there? That's Karna, that's Ashwatthama. So all of these Arjuna was telling him. And this Uttara Kumara, he got so scared that he started running. He got up from the battlefield. He said, oh my God, this is who I have to defeat? And he gets up from the chariot and he starts running. And Arjuna is like, oh my God, what is he doing? So Arjuna gets out of the chariot and starts running after him. And meanwhile, in the Kaurava side, they're saying, what is going on here? They're all watching what's happening. First of all, they see one eunuch who's driving the chariot with one little boy. And then all of a sudden the boy gets up and then this eunuch runs after him and her hair and her dress is going like here and there. And so Drona said, I think that's Arjuna. Drona was so happy. His face was so happy. He said, I think that's Arjuna. And it has to be Arjuna. Who else can run like that? Who else can do all of that? I think it's Arjuna. Then he realized that the time must not be up yet. Why is he speaking? And he just he looked at Bhishma and he said, he was like, oh. And Bhishma looked at him and said, don't worry, Drona. And they have a code language, apparently, Bhishma and Drona. don't worry, the time is actually up. Their time of exile is up. Because every 5 years or so, I think 2 months, every 5 years, the calendar increases by 2 months. So actually, their 13 years that they have planned, it's up. But this Yudhisthira is so noble that extra 5 years and 12 days that comes in this astrology, he wants to also follow that. But actually, their 13 years are already up. And the reason why I told Duryodhana where they are, the reason why I hinted to him is I want him to see that the Pandavas are not going to be easy to defeat. I want him to see that they're going to be so tough, and hopefully he will stop all of this and he will not want to go into war. So I'm just hoping and praying that he realizes this. So then Bhishma and Drona keep quiet. And meanwhile, that boy and Arjuna, they went somewhere. And so this Brihanala, she takes that boy, puts in the chariot, and she drives. And she takes him to this shami tree. She takes him to this shami tree and says, you see that there's something in the tree? Open it, climb up and bring it down, open it. So this boy, he climbs up the tree, he opens it, he looks, and he sees what's there. And the Brihanala says, these are the weapons of the Pandavas. And the boy is in awe. He's like, oh my God, these are the weapons of the Pandavas. He's just shaking. And this Brihanala says, yes, that's the bow of Arjuna, the Gandiva. That's of Yudhisthira. That's of Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva. Take them, bring them here. And this boy, Uttara Kumara, says, where are the Pandavas? How do you know that these are the weapons? Where could they be? And this Brihanala just looks at him straight in the eye and says, Uttara Kumara, I am Arjuna. And he he moves his hair, he takes his Gandiva, he says, you drive, I'll fight. And this Arjuna, he goes into this chariot and renewed look. And he goes, and he says, take me in the middle of the battlefield. I want to see who I'm going to fight. You see, this exact same thing comes in the Gita later on. Huh? So pay attention to this part. I want to see who I'm going to fight. So anyway, takes him. Arjuna looks at all 6 of them. Bhishma, Drona, Ashwathama, Duryodhana, Karna, Kripacharya. Takes a look at 6 of them. He says, easy. He says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go fight with each of them, but I know they're going to lead Duryodhana out. We will follow Duryodhana. So before he goes to approach them, this is Arjuna. Arjuna has style. He shoots 2 arrows each to Drona, to Bhishma, and to Kripacharya at their feet, seeking their blessings. Then he shoots 2 arrows each by the ears of Drona, of Bhishma, and Kripacharya, asking permission to fight. And all of them are just in awe. And this Drona is like, that's my Arjuna. And then this Karna, all of them are, who cares if that's Arjuna? Nothing will happen. We're so strong and this and that. And Duryodhana says, if that's Arjuna, then again, they'll have to go into exile. They'll have to go again 12 years into exile. Then he looks at Bhishma. I request our grandfather to please tell us. And Bhishma looks at Duryodhana and says, their period of exile is over. Arjuna is back, and he's not going to be easy. So let's do the best that we can. And Arjuna comes, and now imagine this 12, 13 years of tapas. Nobody can defeat him. He goes, 6 of them are there. He goes and he fights with all of them. They all come to him. He goes after Duryodhana, but Karna comes. He fights with Karna. Karna runs away. He fights with Drona, Bhishma, Ashwathama, all of them. He runs after Duryodhana, and he takes all the cows, and he says, all the cows go back to Virata. And this Duryodhana also has to run away from him. And Arjuna insults him, look at Duryodhana, how can you even run away from me? Please come here and face me. And all 6 of them again come in front of Arjuna. And he puts this Sammohana Astra. He has this Astra Sammohana, which puts everybody to sleep. He gave them that one Astra and they all went to sleep. And in that moment, he took their silk garments because Princess Uttara said, you bring me some nice silks when you go fight. So he took their silk garments and he brought it back. Now, what happened was, this Arjuna said to this Uttara Kumara, you please don't tell anybody that I am Arjuna, because, let's deal with this properly. You just tell them Brihanala, or you tell them some divine person helped you, but please don't tell anybody anything. And so he told the villagers, tell them the prince is coming back victorious. So meanwhile, in the palace, what happened was that king of Virat came back and he was furious because his son, he heard that his son had gone to fight with the Kauravas. So he was really, really suffering. So Yudhisthira said, please don't worry. If Brihanlala went with him, I'm sure he's fine. And this king of Virat said, but how can they actually fight? Bhishma, Drona, etc. Yudhisthira said, don't worry. He will be fine. He will be fine. And so Yudhisthira kept saying, this Brihanala is really great. She's a great charioteer. And so what happened was, the king got news that they were successful and that the Kaurava army was defeated. So the king was so happy. He says, Kanka Yudhishthira, come here. Let's play a game of dice. Yudhishthira said, let's please not play a game of dice. I know what a game of dice can do. Let's please not play. He says, no, let's play. They play a game of dice. And this king is so happy. He says, my son is so great. And Yudhishthira kept saying, please, I'm sure it's because he had so much help and everything. This king got so mad at Yudhishthira. Why he keeps talking about this Brahmanala? He took the dice and he threw it in Yudhishthira's face. Now, when he did this, Draupadi was there and she saw, and immediately her heart sunk. She took a bowl of water to wash Yudhishthira's hands. She took her cloth and she wiped Yudhishthira's face. And they asked her, why are you doing this? She said, please, if one drop of blood of Yudhishthira falls on your land, you will have famine for 1 year. That is his tapasya. If you make him bleed, there are so many people who will come after you. She didn't say Yudhishthira, she said Ganga. And, and at that moment, this Uttara Kumara entered and he saw Yudhishthira bleeding. He said, Father, you please ask for forgiveness right away. You don't know what you're doing. And so he said, okay, please forgive me. And, he cleaned everything up. And then Brihanala entered. And, and Yudhishthira was trying to hide his face and everything because he didn't want Arjuna to see. You see, for people like Yudhishthira, people like Draupadi, their tapas is so strong that it protects them. They don't need security guards, this, that, all of that. They don't need that. Anybody harms them, their tapas is so strong, that person will get harmed. So therefore, Draupadi knew that this tapasya, not a drop of blood has to can fall on this land. Otherwise, it is a famine. So this is why whatever the Mahatma says, please keep them calm. Please keep them peaceful, because their tapas is just too strong, too strong. So anyway, the father, Virat, king of Virat, asks this Uttara Kumara, what happened? How did you do? How did you fare in war? This Uttara Kumara said, I had some divine help. Some divine help helped me, and because of that, we are okay, we are blessed. And the father was so happy, he said, whoever this divine person is, please let me meet him. And I'm sure Uttara would love to marry him, Uttara, his sister. And so the son said, Father, in time I will tell you, but for now let us go rest. So now the time came for the Pandavas to reveal themselves. Now, how did they do that? So the next day, what happened was the Pandavas, they dressed themselves in the best of garments, kingly, queenly garments for Draupadi, and they sat on the throne of Virata. They sat on his throne in the morning. And this king of Virata wakes up. He says, Kanka, I know we're dear friends, and I said, whatever is mine is yours, but you're sitting on my throne. And why are all of you, here? The Balava, the cook, Tantipala, Grantika, Brandana, wow, what's going on, And so this Arjuna looks at this king of Virat and says, King, you don't know who you're talking to. The one sitting in the throne is our dear brother Yudhisthira. He is the king of the Pandavas, and he is fit to be king of the world. And he has performed severe austerities for 13 years, and now he's coming out of hiding. And this king's jaw dropped. He said, if that's Yudhishthira, where's who is that Draupadi? And who's who, And so Arjuna introduces everyone. Arjuna says that your cook is Bhima, your caretaker of cows, of horses. They are Sahadeva, Nakula. This is Draupadi, and I am Arjuna. And this Uttara Kumara says, thank you, Father. Now I can tell you the truth. The truth is, it was Arjuna who vanquished all of them in the battlefield. I couldn't even do anything. It was all Arjuna's doing. And this king of Virat said, I am so sorry that you had to take up menial work in my palace. You're kings of the world, a queen of the world, and in my palace, you had to be a cook. You had to be caretaker of horses and cows. You had to do all of these things. Please forgive me, and whatever is mine, you please take. And so Yudhishthira said, please don't worry. We were very happy in your kingdom for the most part for that year. And we're very grateful. We will, settle down in Upaplavya. We will settle down there, and we will remain there for some time. And so this Uttara Kumara said, Father, remember that you said that you will want Uttara to marry whoever helped me. It was Arjuna. And King Virat said, I'm very, very sure that Uttara will be so delighted to marry you. Arjuna said, I cannot have your daughter. And this King Virat, he said, because I look upon her like my daughter. I was teaching her, dance and music. I look upon her like my daughter. I cannot have your daughter. But please note, I can take her as my daughter-in-law. She can be the wife of Abhimanyu. And so the Pandavas settle down in Upaplavya. There is great news that they've come out of hiding, and they send invitations to everybody saying that their son Abhimanyu will be wedded to Uttara. And they have a grand, grand feast and a grand wedding. And everyone is so, so happy. And then something happens. What happens? They get some message from Duryodhana that you must go back into the forest for another 12 years because you were seen during exile. And so they said, what is Duryodhana doing again? And so now we are going to just enter a little bit today into Udyoga Parva, the next Parva, which is Udyoga Parva. So let me show you now where we are. So you become very familiar now with Mahabharata. I think after this, you'll be able to take Mahabharata class also. Okay, here. So where are we? We are going to enter just a little bit. As I said, there are 18 main parvas, or you can call them chapters. First one we did Adi Parva. Adi Parva was their whole childhood, the Pandavas, the Kauravas, all of those things, if you remember. Then we had Sabha Parva, that hall, that where we had that whole dice game and everything. Then Vana Parva, forest, means forest, where they were in the forest and they were doing all their tapasya. Then now we have just finished Virata Parva, where they were in hiding. And slowly they come out of their hiding. Now we will go into Udyoga Parva. Udyoga Parva is means like effort, means attempts. This is where they are trying to see what can be done to avert the war, if at all there's anything that can be done to avert the war. So what happens in this parva? What happens in this parva is Lord Krishna, of course, comes. He comes, and all people from all over come for this beautiful wedding. And after the wedding, they all sit down and they all have a chat. And Lord Krishna says, now the 13 years of exile are officially over. The Pandavas have rightfully done what they had to do. They underwent all of their austerities. They stayed in Dharma. They did not swerve from Dharma, despite all of the taunts by the Kauravas. Since the beginning, the Kauravas have taunted them. When they were kids, that Bhima was poisoned. Then Varanavata, that palace of wax. And then on top of that, this dice game. And then, which was not fair, which was where Shakuni cheated. And then on top of that, they wanted to come in and show off. They wanted to show off and remember that Duryodhana was captured and brought to Yudhisthira itself. And then on top of that, they wanted to send Durvasa Rishi to the Pandavas to create trouble. And then on top of that, they stole the cows of Virat because they wanted to expose them. I mean, it's ongoing. What kind of people are these and how can they even rule this kind of place? The Pandavas have stuck to Dharma, and so we will have to do whatever is right. Pandavas are the rightful heir to their land, and so we have to ask for it. But if they don't give it, then we will have to do whatever is necessary. But first, let us make sure we know what's in the mind of the Kauravas. Let us see what's in the mind of Kauravas. So Balarama speaks, Satyaki speaks. Then finally Drupada speaks. And Drupada says, listen, I have a minister, a Brahmana minister. He knows how to give messages. He knows how to be a diplomat. Let's send him. Let's send him with a message to the Kauravas saying that, listen, we only want our half of the kingdom back and we want peace. We don't want war. Let's send a messenger there and then let us see what the Kauravas say and then we will decide from there. But in the meantime, let's start rallying troops. In case anything happens, we should be prepared. So let's start rallying troops. So Yudhishthira sent word to so many people. And Krishna said, listen, okay, I'm going back to Dwaraka and you all start rallying and then keep me informed. So Krishna goes back to Dwaraka, Balaram goes with him, and Yudhishthira starts rallying troops. Duryodhana hears the same thing. He starts also rallying troops. So everyone now is busy making their armies, or what we call Akshohini. Now, while they're doing that, both Arjuna and Duryodhana, Arjuna says, I must go to Krishna right away. I must make sure that he's on our side. Now Duryodhana also heard that Arjuna is going to Krishna. So Duryodhana also went to Krishna. Okay? So now both Duryodhana and Arjuna get to Lord Krishna in Dwaraka. Who arrives first? Duryodhana. Who arrives second? Arjuna. But guess what happened? Lord Krishna is sleeping. He's sleeping. He's sleeping. He's sleeping. Duryodhana arrives first, and you all know the story. Duryodhana comes to the head of Krishna. Arjuna comes second. He comes to the feet of Krishna. Krishna is sleeping. The minute he opens his eyes, he looks at Arjuna. Because obviously he looks at his feet and says, "Oh, Arjuna." And Duryodhana, as though, I'm also here. And so he's like, "Oh, Duryodhana, you're also here." And he looks at both of them. And Duryodhana says, "Krishna, we are probably going to go into war. And you being our relative, we both came to seek help. And just so you know, I came here first." And Bhagavan Krishna said, "Yes, Duryodhana, you might have come first, but when I opened my eyes, I saw Arjuna first. So therefore, I think I'm going to have to help both of you." And so they both look at each other. And Krishna says, in our dharma, it says, whoever's the younger one gets to pick first. So why don't we let Arjuna pick? So now here is the golden question. The golden question is, Lord Krishna looks at Arjuna and says, "Arjuna, you can have my entire Narayani army, who they fight as they can even defeat me. There are thousands and thousands of soldiers. You can have my entire army, my Sena, or you can have just me. And I won't fight. I won't pick up a weapon. You choose." And Arjuna looks at Lord Krishna and says, "Lord Krishna, I choose you, and I choose only you." Meanwhile, Duryodhana is so happy. He is astonished, and he leaves, not knowing that at that very moment, he actually lost everything. Now, what is the deeper significance of this? That I shall tell you next week, because I won't have time to express. But this is the turning point of Mahabharata. This is what makes all the difference. This very moment where Arjuna says, "Lord Krishna, I choose you." His fate is sealed. There is just no way he can lose. So now what happens? What is the significance or the beauty of that choice, and what happens further? That we will see next week. Okay? All right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.